Continue with the Pahāna topic. We stopped at the Tadanga Pahāna. Now we come into another aspect of Pahāna, Vikambana Pahāna. Vikambana Pahāna is a suppression. It is more stronger, stable than the Tadanga abandoning. Even though we mention Tadanga Pahāna in some jhana, sometimes the abandon done by jhana is also mentioned as Tadanga Pahāna. Normally Tadanga Pahāna refers to abandoning of akusalas by opposite states, opposite wholesome states. Normally this refers to the abandoning that we do at the level of our habit, our virtue, conduct. So therefore, Vikambana Pahāna is said to be more powerful, more superior than the Tadanga Pahāna. So this is the suppression of hindrances, jhana factors, lower jhanas, and Vedana and Sanya happening while attaining Rupavachara, Arupavachara jhanas and Nirodha Samapatti. It is ninefold as follows. Right? So this is a Vikambana Pahāna we can come into. So Nirodha Samapatti abandoning is sometimes explained as the Samuchcheda Pahāna also. Right? It's Samuchcheda Pahāna. But just abandoning for a certain period, the Vedana and Sanya, I took it as Vikambana Pahāna here. Right? So it's ninefold. Normally Vikambana Pahāna is ninefold. So normally I'll when we come to the topic of abandoning of non-defilements, I'll explain what is mentioned here in detail because this will be repeated again. Normally first jhana abandons the five hindrances, second jhana abandons vitakka, third jhana vichara. The second jhana abandons vitakka, vitakka, third jhana abandons vichara, fourth jhana abandons piti, fifth jhana abandons sukha, Akasananchayatana abandons fifth jhana. Vinyananchayatana abandons Akinchanyayatana. Akasananchayatana. Akinchanyayatana abandons Vinyananchayatana. Nevasanya Nasanyayatana abandons the Akinchanyayatana. I think I haven't mentioned the Nirodha Samapatti here, right? So it is also found in the Vikambana point. Suppression done in terms of Vikambana Pahāna is far stronger than that abandoning done with Tadanga Pahāna. But it should also be noted that Tadanga Pahāna done by 18 Vipassana jhanas is more stable than the suppression done with jhanas through first 8 Vikambana Pahāna. Actually this is there's a fault here by the above, just right above Vikambana Pahānas, right above. So what is being done I also only mentioned the 9 jhanas here, but the Nirodha Samapatti also was included in the book. I think I have mistaken here. Therefore the abandoning of Vedana Sanya at the moment of Nirodha Samapatti, abandoning of hindrances, abandoning of the jhanas, jhana factors, the lower jhanas at the moment of particular jhanas are all called Vikambana Pahāna, right? So just mention it above Vikambana Pahānas, right? Instead of the first 8, it's a mistake. So even though, for example, we normally say Vipassana, abandoning done in Vipassana is Tadanga Pahāna, it is more superior than the Vikambana Pahāna done by jhanas. That's what we have to understand. Then abandoning done by vipassana is also sometimes referred as a suppression, vikkamana pahana, within the traditions literature. I have given you three references below. When in the vipassana practice, when the certain defilement is abandoned, it is mentioned as vikkambeti, vikkambetva, and so forth. Right? So when the wrong view is abandoned by ditti visuddhi, the tradition says the ditti, the wrong view, is suppressed, vikkambeti. So when we say vikkamana pahana, the word vikkamana can also be used to abandoning done with vipassana wisdom. Right? It has been used. The word has been used. I have given you the reference. In the Visuddhimagga Tika, the word has been used as the vikkamana, vikkambeti, vikkambetva. One reason is the abandoning done by vipassana wisdom is much superior than the abandoning done by jhanas. Right? So, especially the 18 vipassana wisdoms that I gave the list. So, anicca sanya, dukkha sanya, and so forth. They are very powerful. So, therefore, the abandoning done in them should be considered as much superior than that is happening in the jhana. Right? So then we come to samucceda pahana. Samucceda pahana, abandoning by eradication. That is the permanent abandoning done by the four magga jhanas, four maggas, four lokuttara maggas. Eradication done by four supramundane paths should be known with more clarification as follows. So I have given you explanation of Pahāna ekatta and sahajata ekatta. So when a defilement is abandoned by a certain magga, the defilement gets abandoned directly. Then the defilements that sustain based on that would also get abandoned. For example, when the Sotapatti magga abandons ditti and vichikicha, we also know the remaining kilesas which can lead to apaya. For example, dosa in killing would get abandoned directly. Dosa never arise together with ditti or vichikicha. So therefore, when the vichikicha and ditti is abandoned, dosa that could lead to apaya would also get abandoned. That is called Pahāna ekatta. So then, when the ditti and vichikicha is abandoned, when ditti is abandoned, normally ditti arises together with lobha. So the lobha that arises together with ditti also get abandoned. That is called sahajate katta. Sahajate katta. So these defilements that cannot sustain when a certain defilement is abandoned, defilements that arise together with the eradicated defilements, both will be abandoned with the eradication of a particular defilement. This topic we don't normally discuss in our sasana. We normally say a particular magga eradicates these particular kilesas, right? But this topic has been detailed in the commentarial literature, right? In the commentary literature. In your Tikamatika book also I have given this explanation, but I didn't explain it because this is something have to be explained with analysis. Eventually, there are 5 types of akusala dhammas below the paragraphs. Eventually, there are 5 types of akusala dhammas that are eradicated by the path consciousness. Path consciousness, actually change it as to supramundane path. Just change it as to supramundane path. It's better to say eradicated by the supramundane path. So these are 5 defilements that are directly eradicated by the respective path. Respective lokuttara path. Always path consciousness change into lokuttara path, lokuttara magga, right? So then defilements that get eradicated due to lacking the support of the directly eradicated kilesa. These defilements are called Pahāna ekatta. When a certain defilement lacks the support, now when ditti is removed, sakkaya ditti is removed, apayagami kilesa, we discussed yesterday, cannot sustain anymore. So they also will be removed. Rest of the mentalities that could have arisen connected with the Pahāna ekatta, another something that get here. For example, now dosa, apayagami dosa will be eradicated. right? Apayagami dosa will be eradicated, and rest of the mentalities, dosa doesn't arise alone, right? Dosa arise with passa, vedana, akusala, virya, and so forth. They also will get eradicated. That's the way of saying. Then defilements that would have arisen connected with the directly eradicated kilesas. That means when the ditti is cut off, lobha is a kilesa that arises together with ditti. That lobha is also removed. That is called sahajate katta. Then the rest of the mentalities that would have arisen connected with the directly eradicated kilesas and the sahajate katta. That means when ditti arises, it arises with lobha, that is sahajate katta kilesa. It arises with virya, vedana, sanya, akusala, dhammas. They also get eradicated. So likewise, when kilesas are eradicated by magga, akusalas are eradicated by magga, it has to be eradicated in these 5 ways. Explained in these 5 ways. Normally we say akusala, magga eradicate a certain akusala. But this kind of analysis is given in our tradition, right? In our tradition. So, based on above information, this is how the eradication of supramundane parts should be mentioned based on sanyojana. I am talking now on sanyojana, which is easier, right? Now, explained about kilesa. Now I am talking about based on sanyojana. So, sotapatti magga eradicates sakkaya ditti, vichikicha, and silabbata paramasa. When these 3 fetters are eradicated, the following akusala dhammas also get eradicated. Now think about pahane katta, sahajate katta, akusalat which arise with pahane katta, remaining akusalat which arise with sahajate katta. All will be eradicated. So collecting all, when you study in BAB, you study the final answer, but it is made with the above explanation, right? So now what are the akusalas that are eradicated by sotapatti magga? 4 ditthigata sampayukta lobhamula chittas, 1 vichikicha sampayukta chitta, and the associated 22 chetasikas except mana, dosa, issa, machariya, kukucha, and that are completely eradicated by sotapatti magga. 4 ditthigata vipayukta lobhamula chittas and 2 dosamula chittas that can lead to 4 apayas, and the associated 25 chesikas except ditti and vichikicha, right? That are completely eradicated by sotapatti magga. Then according to the commentary literature, 2 dosamula chittupadas arising together with issa and machariya are also eradicated by sotapatti magga. This is an addition. I think you studied in the BAB. You didn't study this number 3. This is how the tradition would explain. Those 2 dosamula chittas connected with issa and machariya are also eradicated by sotapatti magga. So then this will affect the number of chetasikas regarding the remaining maggas. Sakadagami magga eradicates gross kramaraga and patiga. When these 2 fetters are eradicated, the following akusala dhammas also get eradicated. 4 ditthigata vipayutta lobhamula chittas connected with gross kamaraga, and 2 dosamula chittas connected with gross patiga, and they associated 23, not 25 here, because 23 chetasikas except ditti, issa, machariya, and vichikicha. Issa, machariya is eradicated by sotapatti magga according to our literature. Then anagami magga eradicates subtle kamaraga and patiga. When these 2 fetters are eradicated, the following akusala dhammas also get eradicated. 4 ditthigata vipayutta lobhamula chittas connected with subtle kamaraga, and 2 dosamula chittas connected with subtle patiga, and they are associated 23 chetasikas except ditti, issa, machariya, and vichikicha, which are completely eradicated by anagami magga. So then arahatta magga eradicates ruparaga, aruparaga, mana, uddacha, and avijja. When these 5 fetters are eradicated, the following akusala dhammas also get eradicated. 4 ditthigata vipayutta lobhamula chittas connected with ruparaga and aruparaga, and 1 uddacha sampayutta chitta, and the associated 19 chetasikas except ditti, dosa, issa, machariya, kukucha, vichikicha, that are actually it should be 21. Please correct it. 21 chetasikas vichikicha that are completely eradicated by arahatta magga, right? So this is how the eradication is found in our literature. So what you studied in BAB, there is a slight change because I included issa and machariya, which is eradicated by the sotapatti magga. So then the number of chittas would appear a bit differently, right? I should have put it into the first group with the sotapatti eradication, but since it is something that you don't study. I want to emphasize it. I emphasized it separately, right? Then we go into another Pahāna called Patipassadi Pahāna, the Pahāna done by Palachitta. Actually, Palachitta has nothing to do a special Pahāna, because akusalas are eradicated by Maggachitta. So Palachitta does the tranquilizing. It is like a fire is being extinguished in a certain place, but still the heat remains. So you put a water into that place. So likewise, tranquilizing the mind stream is what is done by Palachitta. And there is another eradication that I should have mentioned regarding the Samucceda Pahāna. That is the eradication done by the Buddha's Arahatta Magga. That is the Vasana Kilesa. So Vasana Kilesa, which is also considered as Akusala, is eradicated only by the Magga. We consider Arahatta Magga of a Samma Sambuddha. Not a Pacheka Buddha, not a Savaka. So you can include it in the Samucceda Pahāna group. Right? Samucceda Pahāna. So Vasana, we can say, is eradicated by the Arahatta Magga of a Samma Sambuddha. Right? Samma Sambuddha. So then Nissarana Pahāna, abandoning by escape. Escape means what has to be, what would have arisen will cease without arising. This is the abandoning of all conditioned realities that would have arisen unless the four Lokuttara Maggas had not arisen. Right? So it means the Anupanna Pahāna. Then we have in the commentary on Parajika Pali, we find another 3 levels of Pahāna. Vitikkama Pahāna, abandoning of transgression by defilements. Pariyuttana Pahāna, abandoning of obsession by defilements. Abandoning is not by defilement, this is called transgression by defilements. By defilement is not connected to abandoning. Right? Abandoning of transgression by defilements. Right? Abandoning of obsession by defilements. That is Pariyuttana Pahāna. It means it is also a similar, my mind doesn't let the akusalas to come to the level of pariyuttana. This is the abandon done by jhana actually. Right? Vitikkama Pahāna is the abandon done by sila. Then Anusaya Pahāna, abandoning of latent defilements, tendencies. This is twofold again. Lessening of Anusaya in Vipassana meditation starting from Balava Udyabbe Jnana till Anuloma Jnana. That is what you call Pahāna Pariññā. Right? In the Visuddhi Magga, normally it starts from Bhanga Jnana, but I have mentioned this, but the Visuddhi Magga commentary states that Balava Udyabhaya is also capable of abandoning these Anusayas. So therefore, it starts from Bale Udyabbe Jnana till Anuloma Jnana. Right? So then, this is the eradication given in the commentaries under Pahāna Pariññā. And also Venerable Lady Shadow says this lessening aspect. Though he mentioned about this lessening aspect of Anusayas in the Vipassana. Though it is mentioned in Visuddhi Magga, the sphere of Lokiya Pariññā starts from Bhanga Anupassana Jnana. Its subcommentary states that Balava Udyabbe Jnana is not true, is capable, please cut to, Bale Udyabbe Jnana is capable in removing, lessening wrong perceptions such as Anicca Sanya and so forth. Right? Right? So then complete eradication of Anusaya by 4 Lokuttara Maggas. So these are the eradications, Pahānas that we can find in our Sasana with related to defilements. Now we come to another aspect called Pahāna of non-defilements. That is also a very interesting topic. Pahāna of non-defilements. So Pahāna is also mentioned with regard to non-defilements as well. The following instances can be observed within the canon. If you go to 15.13, Buddha once mentioned abandoning the rupa. That is by abandoning the attachment towards the rupa. So he mentioned to Venerable Radha, the rupa is abandoned by removing the attachment towards the rupa. Not only rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana, all are abandoned by removing the attachment towards these aggregates. So it means when craving is abandoned, the rupa that is supposed to happen in future lives will be abandoned. This sort of abandoning is capable to all the realities that are not mentioned as pahatabba. Actually, this is the abandoning of Anuppanna Dhammas. No, normally we say Pahatabba is Akusala. So therefore, all the realities that would have arisen otherwise can be explained as abandoned. When we abandon the lobha towards a certain Dhamma, so when it is abandoned, the realities that would have arisen would also be removed. So therefore, this is another type of abandoning, which you can find by the direct teachings given by the Buddha. Abandoning or eradicating the karma is also a fundamental notion in the tradition. It is twofold, as mentioned in the Ratana Sutta, Kinam Puranam Navang Natti Sambhavam. So abandoning of karma, I think I discussed this point in detail when we come to the lectures of karma, is twofold. So when we get the Lokuttara Maggas, particular akusalas that were done in the past loses their ability in producing rebirths, right? Would be producing rebirths that would be producing rebirths would be removed, right? So the Kamma Samangita would be removed. So Sotapatti Magga removes the Kamma Samangita of akusalas. Then Anagami Magga removes the Kamma Samangita of Kamavachara kusalas. Right? I hope you follow this. Kamma Samangita is the ability to give a rebirth. So after become Anagami, you will never be born in the Kamavachara level again. So Kamma Samangita of Kusala will be abandoned by Arahatta Magga. Kamma Samangita of Akusala will be abandoned by Sotapatti Magga. Because you are not going to born in the of woeful realms again. Arahatta Magga, if you have jhanas, right? If you have jhanas, it would abandon. Person who has jhana and get into a Arahatta Magga, it would abandon the Kamma Samangita of Rupavachara, Arupavachara jhanas. If someone doesn't have that, there's no such a Samangita to abandon. So that's why I mentioned this. The last paragraph of this, under this paragraph, in this regard, Akusala Kamma Samangita is abandoned by Sotapatti Magga, Kamavachara Kusala Kamma Samangita is abandoned by Anagami Magga, and Rupavachara and Arupavachara Kusala Kamma Samangita abandoned by Arahatta Magga. Please note that, right, that is for the person who has jhana, right, not for other beings, right. A person who has a jhana, when he means he has a jhana before attaining the Arahatta Magga. Right? The person has a jhana before attaining the Arahatta Magga. That Samangita of the jhana will be abandoned by his Arahatta Magga. So Arahatta Magga doesn't abandon the Akusala Samangita. We normally say Arahatta Magga removes all kilesas. This is just a normal saying. Arahatta Magga cannot eradicate Sakkaya Ditthi. Sakkaya Ditthi is already eradicated by Sotapatti Magga. Something which has been eradicated will not happen again. It's clearly mentioned in the suttas. What is being eradicated by the one Magga would never come again. So Sotapatti Magga, when we say it abandons all kilesas, means all remaining kilesas. It cannot abandon every kilesa. Sotapatti Magga abandons Ditthi and Vicikiccha. Sakadagami Magga abandons gross Kamaraga Patiga, so forth. So likewise, so in terms of Kamma Samangita, when we explain, Sotapatti Magga abandons Akusala Kamma Samangita. Kamma Samangita is the ability of a Kamma to give a rebirth. So Sotapatti Magga abandons this ability. Sakadagami Magga, it also abandons a Kamma Samangita, but it's related to the Kamavachara realm. Because Sotapanna person can be born in the Kama realm maximally for 7 lives. Sakadagami person can be born maximally for 2 times in the Kama realm. Anagami person would not be born in the Kama realm. Arahatta person would not be born in anywhere. Right? So, therefore, Sakadagami Magga eradication is happening related to Kamma Samangita of the Kama world, but it's a bit complicated to write. So I mentioned what is clearly understandable is Sotapatti Magga eradicate the Kamma Samangita of Akusala, that's why he's free from Apaya. Anagami Magga indicates the Kamma Samangita of, remove the Kamma Samangita of Kusala, Kamavachara Kusala. Arahatta Magga, if the person has already attained the jhanas, would remove the Kama Samangita of Rupavachara and Arupavachara jhana. So this is called Kinam Purana. Right? It cannot abandon the Kama Sati. But there are some instances, for your knowledge, some akusala kammas that, for example, you remember there was a monk. Because he did a very bad thing as a deva, like 2 monks were there in the Kasava Buddha's time. They were very good friends. He want to break their friendship. So one monk, while they were going for a journey, one monk went to urinate for a while outside to the forest. And when he was coming, what this deva did was, before the monk came, deva appeared as a woman and went out of the forest, like making her clothes. It seems like the monk had sex with the woman. So the other monk, they were virtuous monks, he was shocked and he couldn't believe what happened and he doubted the monk. Then later they got their friendship was broken. To my knowledge, the Deva apologized, right? They apologized and it said what happened. But since then, the friendship never came again as before. It was broken. It was not as before. Because one monk fully doubted. Because the way the lady came out, the Deva came out, that he had no reason to not to doubt. So that was in such an appearance. So then this karma of the Deva, this gave him bad results. And he was born as a human being in the Buddha Gautama's time and he ordained. He had the potential to become an Arahant. He was not an ordinary being. He was a special being. Beings do mistakes in samsara. Moggallana killed his mother and father. Moggallana was the Mara of the Kakusanda Buddha. Moggallana was the Mara and who hit the Agga Savaka, the great disciple, with a stone. The other great disciple, he wanted to burn him alive. Luckily, the great disciple went to Nirodha Samapatti. So he did lots of akusala based on Buddha Kakusanda and his dispensation. In the end, when he obsessed to a child and hit with a rock to one of the great disciples, the Vidura. Sanjiva was attempted to burn alive, but he escaped. So other man Vidura, he hit with a stone and he broke his head. So that time Buddha just turned and looked at the Dusi Mara and looked at the child and said, Mara, you are going beyond the limit. So that moment the Mara died and was born in the Avicii. And this Moggallana also killed his parents in the same kappa. As we know, same kappa should be, right? So then he was destined to be the second disciple of the fourth Buddha of this kalpa. Then he became the fourth disciple. Then the Mara, because he interrupted all the disciples during the Kakusanda Buddha's time, he enjoyed. Then Mara also had the opportunity to disturb this person. So what happened one day was meditating, Moggallana was meditating. Suddenly he felt like his whole stomach was filled with stones. He took, what is the reason? So he saw the Mara has entered into his stomach. So then he said, Mara, I do see you. The Mara just kept silent. He thought maybe he's not seeing me. Even he called, he said, you are thinking that I'm not seeing you. Please come out. Then Mara thought, because he's reading even my mind, so now surely he has seen me. Because in the beginning, Mara just kept silent. Maybe monk is just imaging, not sure. Then he said, you are thinking that I am not seeing you. So please come out. Then the Mara came out and he was standing. Then the Moggallana gave a sutta called Mara Tajjaniya, threatening the Mara. You please keep in mind, I was like you during the Buddha Kakusanda's time. So I was called the Mara Dusi. At that time, you were my nephew. Nephew means my sister's son. Son, in Deva world, sons are born. When someone is born on a lap, he is considered as a son. So you are my nephew. And I did such things to Vidura, to Sanjiva, and I ended up in the Avicii. So please be careful. Don't disturb the Buddha and his disciple. This is called Mara Tajjaniya Sutta. You can find this in the Tipitaka. So then, this is what the nature of the samsara. So this monk, this Deva, was a person who has fulfilled the parami and he was born as a human during our Buddha's time, and he ordained. But that karma of breaking the friendship of two monks and causing an accusation to a virtuous monk without any reason, the karma came behind him. So what happened? From the day he ordained as a monk, everyone who sees him, everyone can see a lady coming behind this monk. There's no lady coming, but always this monk is going with a lady. To the lay devotees, it appears. Even King Kosala checked one time, but he also saw a lady is coming. So this was a huge trouble. This was a huge accusation. So people used to say, you haven't given up the household life properly. You are with a lady. So because there's no lady coming, only the other people can see it. This monk cannot see it. So then what happened, it is mentioned, the day he attained arahantship, from that day onwards, that lady disappeared. So it means, sometimes, certain akusalas, strong akusalas that haunt our lives, when we attain the magga, will be stopped immediately. So there are stories like that. So therefore, but we normally say magga doesn't eradicate karma. Magga is not opposing karma. But because of this strong karma called magga chitta, magga karma, it's a very powerful karma. It's the most powerful karma which stops the rebirth, which eradicates defilements. So when this karma has arisen, most of the problems that you have in your life will be removed. Most of the akusalas that disturbs you can be subdued. It supports your life. Supports your life means it removes the disturbances. So as a result, a Sotapanna, when he is born in the human world, if he is born in the human world, it is mentioned, he will be born mostly, always in a good, rich family, which follows the correct way. Not in a family of a Michadittikas, not in a poor, very low level, low caste family. In a good class, with a good wealth, in a luxurious family, he will be born. So this Arahat, the Lokottara Magga, would never give a Patisandhi, but it is a blessing to your life. So it is. So also I want to mention. Normally we say Lokottara Karma doesn't directly eradicate karma. I mentioned it. How does it eradicate the karma samangita? By removing the supporting factors and ahara for the karma samangita, kelesa will be removed, so the karma is unable to give a rebirth. But some cases we can see certain karmas which were giving akusala vipakas have stopped after someone has attained the arahata magga, lokuttara maggas. Non-accumulation of new karmas, that is called navang natti sambhavam. So a person has attained the arahantship. From that moment onwards, I mentioned this in the yesterday's discussion, how avidya, vipallasa and bhavatanha affects the chetana to become karma. So when the avidya is removed, there is no effect of latent defilements to the chetana. So that chetana, javana chetana, doesn't become a karma any further. So he's not accumulating new karma. That is called navang natti sambhava. So based on these two factors, removing the ability of past karmas to give rebirth, removing the because of removing the defilements, not accumulating new karmas, arahant is said to be punya papa pahina. It means one who has abandoned wholesome and unwholesome both. I have not given the reference here. You can find this in the Dhammapada. Punya papa pahinassa natti jagarato bhayam. Arahant is said to have abandoned both kusala and akusala. Type this word, you will see in the Chatasangaya, in the Dhammapada. So, this is in the doctrine of Paticca, the phrase Avijja Nirodha Sankara Nirodho means karma ceases with the cessation of ignorance. Here the cessation of karma should be understood with both foregone manners with related to all four maggas. In this regard, fourfold magga jnanas are called kammakkaya karakjnana. It's not only arahata magga, right? All four maggas are called kammakkaya karakjnana. Then Pahāna mentioned while attaining jhanas and nirodha samapatti. So first jhana, abandons. So look at the abandoning factors, abandoning realities of the first jhana. Right. So first jhana abandons 5 hindrances, moha, ignorance, which covers the dangers of sensual pleasures, threefold unwholesome vitakka, and threefold unwholesome sanya. I have given the references. We go further after reading the list. I have given the references later at the end of this. Second jhana abandons vitakka and attachment to the first jhana. Third jhana abandons vichara and attachment to the second jhana. Fourth jhana abandons piti and the attachment to the third jhana. Fifth jhana abandons sukha and the attachment to the fourth jhana. Akasananchayatana jhana abandons attachment towards rupa, a sign of rupa, and a jhana which has the sign of a rupa. It means all rupavachara jhanas, and consequently abandons the fifth jhana. Vijnananchayatana jhana abandons attachment to the akasananchayatana jhana, and consequently the akasanantayatana jhana, attachment and the jhana both. Akinchanyayatana jhana abandons the attachment to the Vijnananchayatana jhana, and consequently the Vijnanantayatana jhana itself. Nevasanya nasanyayatana jhana abandons attachment to the akasananchayatana jhana, and consequently attachment to the akinchanyayatana jhana, and consequently abandons the akinchanyayatana jhana. Right? I did it. Please, akinchanyayatana, please correct it. Akinchanyayatana. Right? Then, before attaining the immediate higher jhanas, the yogi has to subdue them. So now, what did I say here? You can look into this. First jhana abandons nivarana. Then I mentioned the moha regarding the sensual pleasures, covers the dangers of sensual pleasures, threefold unwholesome vitakka and unwholesome sanya. I'll come to that later. Before that, before attaining the immediately higher jhana, the yogi has to subdue the attachment towards the jhana he has already attained. So when you want to proceed to the second jhana, there are preliminary acts. You have to give up the attachment to the first jhana, and you have to contemplate the benefits of the second jhana. If you are unable to give up the attachment for the first jhana, in your practice, if you struggle, your practice from first jhana to second jhana become dukkha patipada. Normally, dukkha patipada is decided based on the nivaranas. If you subdue the nivaranas till the upachara samadhi with difficulty, we call the practice is dukkha patipada. That is a person to attain the first jhana. From first jhana to second jhana, you already have the patibhaga nimitta. You don't need to arouse the patibhaga nimitta again. So where is the patipada? Patipada is giving up the attachment to the first jhana. If someone struggles here, then what happens? His patipada is said to be dukkha patipada. The same way, same thing for the higher jhanas, right? So with regard to the first jhana, the Buddha mentioned in the that is why what I mentioned, the second jhana abandons the vitakka and also the attachment to the first jhana. Then you can have a question, isn't that attachment is abandoned before the jhana? Yes, it is abandoned to a certain sense with the first before the jhana, but it is subdued by the attainment of the second jhana. I'll prove that point according to the literature. The Buddha mentioned in the Patama Tajjana Sutta with regard to the first jhana that it is impossible that a person attains the first jhana without seeing the dangers of sensual pleasures very well. Without seeing the dangers of sensual pleasures very well, it is not possible to attain the first jhana. That means avijja nivarana has to be subdued. It means one has to abandon the moha which covers the true defects of sensual pleasures. In the Dutiya Tajjana Sutta, the Buddha also mentioned that it is impossible that someone attains the first jhana without abandoning the threefold unwholesome vitakkas, kama vitakka, vyapada vitakka, vihinsa vitakka, and threefold unwholesome sannyas, kama sanya, vyapada sanya, vihinsa sanya. Before attaining the arupavachara jhanas, one has to subdue his attachments towards corporeality and also to signs related to the corporeality, and also to a jhana which has the object of a sign of a corporeality. So all has to be subdued. All attachments has to be subdued. So as to the tradition, these suppressions become complete with the attainment of the jhana. It means the wisdom that sees the true defects of akusala and karma become well established. The moha which covers these defects will be abandoned while attain the first jhana. How do we understand this? That is why in the commentary to the Patama Tajjana Sutta explains that in the statement which Buddha uttered as not seeing the actual dangers of sensual pleasures very well with wisdom, wisdom refers here to the jhana panya. Wisdom associating with the jhana. So what does it mean? It means only when one attains the first jhana, his ignorance upon sensual desires will be subdued, well subdued. However, this suppression is the culmination of the practice for the first jhana. A yogi has to see the defects of sensual pleasures with kamavachara kusala chittas and then develop concentration prior to attaining the first jhana. And then develop concentration prior to attaining the first jhana. Suppression of attachment towards the jhana already attained in attaining the immediately. So then, what I want to mention, we first suppress, we see the defects, and we start practicing. So all these come into culmination with the attainment of the first jhana. So that is the wisdom of the jhana is the wisdom which sees the defects of the karma. Then you can have a question. Jhana has an object, that is patibhaga nimitta. How could it see the defects of karma? Then the same question should be asked. Maggapala chittas have fourfold wisdom. Dukkhe jnana, dukkha samudaya jnana, nirodhe jnana, magge jnana. But Magga Chitta has the object of Nibbana. How can the wisdom about dukkha be found in the Magga Chitta? So this has to be explained based on the enlightenment, which I am not able to give a full lecture on it. So enlightenment or understanding in Buddhist teachings have to be explained in two ways. Understanding a particular reality or a nature, directly cognizing a particular object is one. In Vipassana meditation, you see the nature of suffering, you understand the nature of suffering. So, seeing a certain object with the mind is also understanding. The second and the foremost in the Buddhist teachings is removing the obstacles for the understanding. So, Magga Chitta removes the ignorance. Lokottara Magga removes the ignorance which covers the suffering, which covers the true nature of suffering. Magga Chitta removes the ignorance which covers the true natures of samudaya, origin of suffering. Magga removes the ignorance which covers the true nature of nirodha, nibbana. Magga removes the ignorance which covers the true natures of Magga. So therefore, even the Magga Chitta have a specific object which is nibbana. We say Magga Chitta has the fourfold wisdoms. Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Magga. That is because with the Magga, the defilement is removed, which covers that understanding. So among these two, directly knowing an object and removing the obstacles for the understanding, the second is the foremost in our sasana. So therefore, that is why the commentary mentions. Buddha mentions it is impossible without seeing the true defects of karma, one attains the first jhana. The commentary says this is the wisdom in the first jhana. First jhana has the countersign as its object, but the ignorance which covers the true defects of karma is subdued, well subdued with the attainment of jhana. Before we practice it, before we know it, before we develop this wisdom, but it comes to the culmination at the attainment of first jhana. So what does this mean? Normally we look into the jhana, we talk about the concentration. We don't talk about the jhana, wisdom. But in our sasana, jhana samadhiti, Lady Sayadaw elaborates this, jhana samadhiti. So if someone explains jhana samadhiti, you would say jhana is like a fixed thing. It has no, what sort of a samadhiti it has? It is just observing a countersign. It doesn't think, it doesn't have a full, what kind of understanding it has. This is the understanding of jhana. With the attainment of jhana, your ignorance regarding the sensual pleasures, ignorance regarding the sensual pleasures will be removed. It means a person who has jhana sees very well the defects of karma because the ignorance is well subdued. So jhana doesn't mean just focusing on an object. Jhana is something that we have to do with understanding. Wisdom is very important in jhana. A person who practices jhana knows what is the path normally. He knows the defects of karma. He develops the opposing force against the karma. He knows the benefits of getting rid of karma. These understandings should be found in a person who has a true jhana. Therefore, jhana samadhiti, which is overlooked in our sasana because it's not a problem, but because we have a dry vipassana practice and we don't elaborate jhana in this manner. We think jhana is just focusing on a one object. So sometimes people consider we are just focusing, we are not getting any progress of jhana. One reason can be because we don't extend our wisdom into such a broader level. It should not be done while you are meditating. But these considerations of the defects of karma and the benefits of getting rid of karma, benefits of jhana, these things has to be within the part of our practice. So that is why Buddha mentioned, it is impossible, monks. It is impossible, he said. A person attains a jhana without knowing fully well the defects of karma. What does it mean? This is a part of the jhana practice. It's not just focusing on a one object. So jhana is done with a great wisdom. Why the appana chittas are always associated with such a wisdom? Because it should have such a clarity of the object, and also it has a clarity about the path, about what he has done, about the spiritual thing. So another aspect that I want to take your attention at, please consider about the jhana samadhiti. It is not an inactive. Normally, in our for example, in our beginnings, when we consider, we feel like jhana is a very inactive. It's like something like a fixed thing. Yeah, it doesn't have any other objects. But think about the path towards jhana. So this is something with wisdom. It is not only just concentration. So that is why I mentioned the defects which cover the jhana, moha, will be subdued at the first jhana. Same thing should be understood with the suppression of attachment toward the jhanas already attained. In attaining the immediately higher jhana should also be understood in the same manner. So your attachment to the first jhana will be fully subdued with the attainment of the second jhana. Think about arupa jhanas and so forth are the same. Then the 16, then the Nirodha Samapatti, next fundamental. 16, at least 14. Why is that? I'll explain. Types of wisdoms. Solasa Jnana Charya and 9 types of concentration. Nava Samadhi Charya, well mastered, Vasi Bhava, abandons Vedana and Sanya. It means Chittupada, all Chittupadas. This abandoning is seen while noble beings attain the Nirodha Samapatti. Solasa Jnana Charya. Solasa Jnana Charya here means 8 vipassana wisdoms like Anicca Sanya, Dukkha Anicca Sanya, Aniccanupassana, Dukkhanupassana, Anattanupassana, Viraganupassana, Nirodhanupassana, Nibbidhanupassana, Patinissagghanupassana, Vivarthanupassana. There is the eighth one, Vivarthanupassana. Then Sotapatti Magga, Sakadagami Magga, Sotapatti Magga, Phala, Sakadagami Magga, Phala, Anagami Magga, Phala, Arahatta Magga, Phala. 8 plus 8 is 16. So why I mentioned at least 14? For Anagami also it is possible to attain the Nirodha Samapatti. So he doesn't have Arahatta Magga and Phala. So the commentary states at least 14. I have given you the reference. So Nava Samadhi Charya means 8 jhanas according to the fourfold method and the Upachara Samadhi for all jhanas. This is mentioned in the Patisambhida Magga. Nava Samadhi Charya. Vasi Bhava. You have to have a mastery over the jhanas. When you develop this both jhana, enter into a jhana, get out of it, do vipassana on the jhana, so again enter into the next jhana, come out of it, do vipassana, both, you do both, and you go further with the intent. Then having coming into the Akinchanyayatana jhana, determine, make the 4 determinations, and then after the passing away of the Neva Sanyana Sanyayatana jhana, the mind process will stop temporarily. So Vedana and Sanya is abandoned by these powers. Samadhi Charya, Jnana Charya, Samadhi Charya with Vasibhava. If someone only practice Vipassana, a noble being, he will end up in the Palasamapatti. If only someone, a noble being, practice the jhanas, he will end in Nevasanyana Sanyayatana. Only when he practice both together in this manner, he will end in the Nirodha Samapatti. So therefore, Nirodha Samapatti, in the Nirodha Samapatti, you abandon all Chittupadas. It is not abandoned only by Samadhi. It is not abandoned only by wisdom. And not only normal Samadhi, Samadhi with Vasibhava mastery. So that's why the abandoning of Chittupadas in Nirodha Samapatti happens with the Samadhi Charya, with Vasibhava and Jnana Charya. So in the more famous discussion between the Anagami lay devotee, Visakha, not the Visakha, this is a the male Visakha, with his former wife, Arahanta Bhikkhuni Dhammadina. Wife and husband became nobles. First the husband became Anagami. So while he was coming home, as usual, wife came to touch him. Then he said, don't touch me again, because he's become Anagami. Then wife also got very sad in the beginning and thought, oh, this may be a very very noble attainment. Then she went to monastery and ordained, and she became Arahant. So the husband, who was Anagami, visited his former wife and had a very famous discussion, which is mentioned in the Chula Vedalla Sutta. So in this Chula Vedalla Sutta, in the end, the Bhikkhuni gave a Dhamma talk, and in the end, Visakha, the lay devotee, the former husband, couldn't understand, because at the last part, one part she gave, which was beyond his experience. So I think in the end he was asked to go and meet the Buddha and have a discussion. We went to the Buddha, repeated the story. Buddha agreed what the Bhikkhuni said. So in this discussion, which was a very famous discussion in our sasana, it is also a very, very nice story. So in this discussion, Bhikkhuni mentions the 3 sankharas are abandoned while attaining the Nirodha Samapatti. So the lay devotee Visakha asked, so which Kaya Sankara, Vachi Sankara, Chitta Sankara? Kaya Sankara, he refers to Anapana. Chitta Sankara refers to Vitakka Vichara. Vachi Sankara refers to Vitakka Vichara. Chitta Sankara refers to Vedana Sanya. So Visakha asked, out of these 3, what will be abandoned in the beginning? So Bhikkhuni said, Dhammadina said, first the Vachi Sankara, because Vitakka Vichara will be abandoned in the second jhana. Then the Kaya Sankara, because we know us breathing will be abandoned in the 4th jhana. Then finally the Chitta Sankara, when you attain the Nirodha Samapatti. So this is also one type of abandoning. So I'll move to for a few minutes the Bhavana, the next topic. Sorry for that. So Bhavana is the mental act of developing wholesome qualities. So when some wholesome qualities are frequented, their accuracy elevates. In other words, they become stronger and sharper. Moreover, when certain wholesome qualities are aroused, They facilitate the arising of similar or related wholesome qualities. In this manner, a person grows in admirable qualities. Kusala dhammas, kusalas you develop. What is to be developed? That is the kusala dhammas. If you go to the 16.3, when wholesome qualities are developed, automatically opposing unwholesome qualities get subdued, abandoned or eradicated. In the Buddhist dispensation, bhavana of wholesome qualities is done for the sake of pahāna of unwholesome qualities. So we can have two approaches: developing your good qualities, abandoning the bad qualities. So abandoning the bad qualities is foremost in the sasana. So then another point, bhavana, we said pahāna means abandoning the latent defilements. Bhavana also, pahāna can never happen to arise in defilement. The same way, bhavana does not mean increasing the level of a wholesome quality that has arisen. It is the act of strengthening or sharpening wholesome qualities that follow, that are going to come. When a certain kusala quality arises, it intensifies the wholesome qualities that precedes it. This strengthening of following wholesome qualities by previously arisen qualities is explained under the asevana paccaya. When you develop a certain quality, the following, now you develop a samadhi for a while, next sitting or in the next minute, that would help the samadhi to become stronger. So likewise, the previously arisen qualities would intensify the following similar qualities. Asevana paccaya. One important fundamental to be mentioned in relation with the theory of causality is the phenomenon of intensification of the mental attributes. Asevana is one of the 24 conditions explained in Abhidhamma. According to it, when wholesome or unwholesome qualities of the mind are repeated, they get intensified and strengthened. Based on this notion, the Tathagata instructed his disciples to frequent their wholesome practice to attain spiritual progress. Another factor is asevana, pakata upanisaya. When you develop a certain quality, the similar quality or related quality would happen. It facilitates the arising of a similar quality or a related quality. For an example, if some has the habit of giving dana to a beggars always, when another beggar comes to him, there is a very high possibility that he would get the intention of giving again. So this is called the habitual impact. So another thing is, a certain wholesome quality facilitates the arising of another wholesome quality which is related to that. That is why when you have sila, it is easy to practice samadhi. When you have samadhi, it is easy to get the vipassana wisdom. So this is also aseva upanisya. Upanisya is twofold. Causing a similar quality to arise, supporting a similar quality to arise, or supporting a related quality to arise. Asevana means when a similar quality arises again, the latter quality will get stronger. The previous quality intensifies the latter quality. These are two things. Asevana paccaya strengthens the following quality. Upanisya paccaya facilitates the arising of a similar quality or a related quality. If someone has given dana, thoughts of giving dana would be frequent to him. If someone has paid respect to the Buddha regularly, he developed the practice of respecting the elders. Whenever he sees an elder, automatically this respect will come in him. And then related qualities are, if someone practices sila, it is easy to develop samadhi. If someone develops samadhi, easy to get wisdom. Right? So that is what these two qualities. Now for example, look at the 16.6 fundamental. Following is an instruction given by the master based on the two conditional relations of the asevana paccaya. If you can read the Pali, samadhi bhikkave bhavita. Then samahito bhikkave yatha bhutam pajanati. So this statement, samadhim bhikkave bhaveta, bhikkave means samadhim bhaveta, repeatedly develop samadhi. What does it mean? Develop samadhi again and again. Don't just develop it once. Do it again and again and again. What happens? When you keep on developing, its level is get increased, intensified. That is asevana pachya. This is what the Buddha understood. He knew if you repeat a certain quality, the latter qualities, the previous qualities would intensify the level of the following qualities. He knew this. Right? So these are all through experience. Another fundamental which I couldn't mention in the Pahāna. In one sutta, Buddha mentions Pahāna is something which is not logically explained. It is only through experience. He mentions monks abandon the raga. It can be abandoned. If it cannot be abandoned, I would not tell you to abandon. It means, with his own experience, he has seen akusala can be abandoned. Someone can have a question. When you develop wholesome qualities, unwholesome qualities will get abandoned. It is how it happens. What is the logic? Logic is practical experience. You develop the metta, your dosa will go reduce. You develop asubha, raga will reduce. You develop virya, your tina midda will reduce. You develop the wisdom, doubt will reduce. You develop tranquility, your uddacha kukucha will reduce. This is practical experience. So he mentioned in a sutta, I was thinking to give this as a fundamental, but I forgot it, sorry for that. So he mentioned, abandon, I tell you to abandon. If it cannot be abandoned, I would not tell you to ask you to abandon the lobha, dosa, akusala. In the same way, he has seen, when you repeat a certain wholesome quality again and again, it would develop, it would get sharpened, its level will elevate. So samadhi bhaveta, based on the asevana pachya, you find in the Abhidhamma doctrine. Then samahito bhikkave yata bhutam pajana. Yata bhutam means vipassana wisdom. This is samadhi. What does it mean? Samadhi facilitates vipassana. What is this pachya? Upanisya pachya. Precisely Pakatu Upanishad. So this is a statement in which Buddha has used. This is also practically he has seen. If you develop good concentration, you can see the truth very easily. If you develop sila, easy to develop samadhi. So these are all through practical experience he has given. So in the last page, in the above instruction, the advice to develop concentration was given based on the causal relation of asevana pachaya. Since when the mental capacity of concentration is frequented, it is intensified and strengthened. Then its effect is shown owing to the causal relation of Pakatupanisya Pachya, because concentration begets the arising of wisdom through which one sees the actual nature of existence. Culmination of the spiritual practice of bhavana in Buddhist dispensation happens at the moment of attaining fourfold supramundane paths. Right? But regarding bhavana, another two aspects should be mentioned, but I'm not going to take this as a lecture. It means the magga pachya and jhana pachya, which are also related to the development. Magga makes our mind to develop from one bhumi to another, one stage to another, one wisdom to another. This is called the power. Jhana factors develops your wisdom and takes you from one jhana to another, and also one develops your concentration from step by step. So these jhana pachya and magga pachya are also greatly related to the topic of bhavana. And this pahāna and bhavana combined, you have another topic called enlightenment. This enlightenment is also something which is related to the bodhi. Because of this bhavana and pahāna, we have an enlightenment. This is related to with this topic, the enlightenment topic will be related to the Puggala Veda. Based on the pahāna, based on the enlightenment, based on the understanding, Buddha has classified beings into different beings. A Sotapanna definition is given, Tinnan Sanyojananam Parikaya, one who has abandoned 3 Sanyojana. Sakadagami, one who has lessened 2 Sanyojana. Anagami, one who has abandoned Kamaraga and Patiga. Arahanta, one who has abandoned all the defilements. A Putujana, who has not abandoned any of the defilements. So likewise, this Pahāna is related to the enlightenment, that is Bodhi, Sotapannahood, Sakadagamihood, Anagamihood, Arahantahood, and it related to the Puggala. Bhavana also. With the Bhavana, we attain some higher stages. When Buddha mentioned the way you practice Bhavana, with Saddha, based on Saddha you develop and you become a Sotapanna, you are called Saddhanusari. With wisdom, you develop your practice. With the wisdom as the foremost forerunner, you become Dhammanusari. Then we have Saddha, Vimutta, Kaya, Sati, Ditthipata. Then when you attain the Arahanthood, if you have both Rupa Jhana and at least one Arupa Jhana, you are called Ubato Bhaga Vimutta. If you don't have jhanas, or if you don't have only Rupa Jhana, you are called Panya Vimutta. And then a person who has attained the utmost level of Savaka Parami Jnana, have attained all the wisdoms of a Savaka, which is called Agga Savaka, the two great disciples, more than the Mahasavakas. If someone has attained this enlightenment by himself, but doesn't have the wisdom about everything, is called a Pacceka Buddha. Who has attained the utmost wisdom with the enlightenment according to the tradition, with the omniscient knowledge, is called a Samma Sambuddha. So therefore, Bhavana develops and comes to the enlightenment, which defines the being. So this Bhavana and Pahāna combined enlightenment has to be explained based on these topics combined. Not only based on Bhavana, not only based on Pahāna. Then with the enlightenment, we have the classifications of Puggala. If you see in the Puggala Panyattipakarana, we find various types of Puggalas. Especially the beings who are with the enlightenment. Then there are beings related with Akusala and so forth. But I'm talking about the beings related to enlightenment. So some defilements are removed and some states are attained. So this is how these two fundamental topics would lead to another dimension of the tradition. So these are the points that I want to discuss. Next week will be the last of this course. And next week I'll be discussing about the Paramatta Jatikas in the Saturday. That is about the latent qualities like Anusaya, because I never gave a detailed explanation on this Anusaya, Vasana, Charita and Asaya and so forth. And then final two lectures on Sunday will be about Nibbana, the Nibbana and the sevenfold Nibbanas that are found in our tradition. Yeah. So if you have one question, I can give you a chance. Okay, so we'll conclude the lecture and we'll meet next week.